San Francisco, like many major cities, faces a number of complex challenges. The city's major problems include homelessness, housing affordability, inequality driven by the tech boom, public safety, and infrastructure issues. Here's an overview of these problems and what politicians and business leaders are doing to address them. 1. Homelessness crisis. The problem: San Francisco has one of the highest rates of homelessness in the US. The visibility of homelessness, with encampments and people living on the streets, is a major concern for residents and city officials. Contributing factors include high housing costs, mental health issues, and substance abuse. Political actions. Housing first approach. San Francisco's government has adopted a housing first approach, which focuses on providing permanent housing for homeless individuals without preconditions, like sobriety or employment. The city has increased funding for shelters, supportive housing, and homeless outreach services. Proposition C. 2018, San Francisco voters passed Proposition C, a measure that taxes large businesses to fund homeless services, housing, mental health care, and addiction treatment. This initiative has raised millions of dollars but has faced some legal challenges. Navigation centers. These are temporary shelters that offer not only a place to sleep, but also services like healthcare, social work, and help finding permanent housing. The city has built multiple navigation centers to accommodate the homeless population. Business leaders' role. Many tech companies and executives, like Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, have supported Proposition C and other homelessness initiatives. Salesforce, in particular, has been a vocal advocate for taxing big businesses to support homeless services. Public-private partnerships. Some tech companies have contributed to initiatives aimed at alleviating homelessness, including funding for shelters, housing projects, and mental health services. 2. Housing affordability. The problem: San Francisco has some of the highest housing costs in the country, making it difficult for middle and low-income residents to afford rent or buy homes. The influx of high-paid tech workers has driven up prices, leading to displacement of long-term residents and gentrification of neighborhoods. Political actions. Affordable housing projects. The city has prioritized the development of affordable housing through zoning reforms, density bonuses, and inclusionary housing requirements, which mandate that new developments include a percentage of below-market rate units. Rent control. San Francisco has some of the strongest rent control laws in the country, limiting rent increases on older buildings. While this helps protect current tenants, it doesn't apply to newer construction. Proposition E. 2019, San Francisco passed Proposition E, which ties new office development to the city's ability to meet affordable housing goals. This slows down the development of new commercial buildings unless affordable housing construction also keeps pace. Business leaders' role. Tech companies building housing. Some companies, like Google and Facebook, have pledged millions of dollars toward affordable housing development in the broader Bay Area. These funds are used to build new units or subsidize housing for lower-income residents. Support for zoning reform. Some business leaders and tech executives are advocating for state and local zoning reforms to allow for higher density housing development, which they argue could alleviate the housing shortage by increasing the supply of units. 3. Income inequality and the tech boom. The problem: the rapid growth of the tech industry has created a stark divide between wealthy tech workers and other residents. This income inequality is seen in rising housing costs, changes in neighborhood demographics, and the displacement of lower-income residents. Political actions. Local taxes on tech. San Francisco has implemented several tax measures aimed at tech companies, including the Homelessness Gross Receipts Tax, Proposition C, and the CEO Tax, Proposition L, which taxes companies with high CEO to worker pay ratios. These taxes are intended to redistribute wealth from the city's most profitable companies to public services. Labor rights protections. The city and the state of California have enacted labor laws aimed at protecting gig workers and lower-wage employees. For example, Assembly Bill 5, AB 5, passed by the state legislature, reclassifies many gig economy workers as employees rather than contractors, ensuring them greater benefits and protections. Business leaders' role, commitments to social responsibility. Tech companies like Salesforce, Google, and Airbnb have made high-profile commitments to social responsibility, including philanthropy focused on education, homelessness, and housing. However, critics argue that these efforts are insufficient in addressing the broader societal issues exacerbated by tech wealth. Advocacy for income redistribution. Some prominent business leaders, like Salesforce's Mark Benioff, have publicly supported higher taxes on wealthy individuals and businesses to fund social programs that address inequality. Benioff has been especially vocal about taxing tech giants to solve housing and homelessness issues. 4. Public safety and crime. The problem: rising concerns about property crime, such as car break-ins, theft, and drug-related issues, have been highlighted by residents and the media. While violent crime rates are lower than in many other U.S. cities, property crimes are a persistent problem. Political actions. Police reforms. San Francisco has implemented police reforms, particularly in response to national calls for changes in law enforcement practices. These include efforts to de-escalate encounters and focus on community policing, as well as the creation of alternative teams to respond to mental health crises. District Attorney policies. The city's District Attorney, Chesa Boudin, who was recalled in 2022, adopted a more progressive approach to criminal justice, focusing on rehabilitation and reducing incarceration for nonviolent offenders. However, this approach drew criticism from residents who felt it was too lenient on crime. Business leaders' role. Business groups have expressed concern about the impact of property crime on tourism and local businesses. Some have called for a stronger police presence in certain areas, while others support investments in mental health services and addiction treatment to address the root causes of crime. Many tech companies are also investing in security and safety technology, including surveillance systems and neighborhood crime tracking apps, to help address concerns about public safety. 5. Public transportation and infrastructure. The problem: San Francisco's aging public transportation system and infrastructure struggle to keep up with the demands of a growing population and increased traffic. The city's iconic BART system and Mooney buses have faced criticism for delays, breakdowns, and a lack of modernization. Political actions. Transit investments. San Francisco has invested in public transportation improvements, including upgrades to the BART and Mooney systems, and the creation of bus rapid transit lanes to reduce congestion. The city is also expanding bike lanes and pedestrian-friendly infrastructure to promote sustainable transportation. Transit-first policy. The city continues to emphasize its transit-first policy, which prioritizes public transit, biking, and walking over car travel. This includes discouraging car use through measures like congestion pricing and limiting parking availability. Business leaders' role. Many tech companies have developed private transportation networks for employees, such as shuttle buses, to alleviate strain on public transit. However, critics argue that these private solutions do not benefit the broader community. Some tech companies and venture capitalists are also investing in new mobility solutions, such as ride-sharing, electric scooters, and autonomous vehicles, as alternatives to traditional transportation systems. San Francisco's major problems: homelessness, housing affordability, income inequality, public safety, and infrastructure are being addressed through a combination of government policy and business leader initiatives. While progress is being made in some areas, many challenges remain, particularly in finding sustainable, long-term solutions that balance the interests of the tech sector, local government, and the broader community. The interplay between political action and private sector involvement will continue to shape the city's future.